guys, welcome to Market Curry. I'm Rahul,
I'm Shikhar.
and we are here with another episode. This one is a very special episode. This is with the LinkedIn hottie, Mehul Mehta.
And a quant YouTuber as well, who's done his master's in financial mathematics from NC State University.
And then he went on to working as a assistant vice president, quantitative model developer at Regions Bank.
And then he went on to work with Charles Schwab as a manager in risk modeling and analytics. So we really boomed and I'm really
pumped.
excited
Yeah.
to be witnessing what he says. And so at this point, we have already recorded that.
Yeah.
So
This episode was a very good one. He breaks down time series, stochastic processes, everything that you need to add to your resume in order to get a job in Quant.
absolutely. So let's just dive into it and stay tuned for more episodes.
Yes. Let's go.
Hi Mehul, welcome to Market Curry, and we welcome our audience to Market Curry. It's glad to be doing a video with Mehul because he's kind of an inspiration for us. He's in the quantitative field, and as we explained in our introduction, we'll be chatting with him candidly. So Mehul, how are you doing? How's everything going?
And why are you
I'm
guys
doing good,
twinning?
man. I'm doing good, yeah. Shikhar, Rahul, good to meet you guys. I saw your recent podcast. You guys are doing great. So yeah, I'm
That's right.
happy to be part of your podcast.
Thank you,
We are
thank you.
more than happy to have you on the board.
Absolutely, it's a privilege, and of course, we are so glad to see you out of the phone screen, and of course, the LinkedIn post that we always see on. Right.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
getting back to the topic, I mean, we just wanted to understand your experiences and how it panned out for you, and what do you
Mhm.
think about the quant role as such. So, if you could just start off with a brief of your introduction, and then
Mhm.
just build on how you got into quantitative development.
Okay, so the thing was, during my last, so I did my electronics engineering from VIT University Vellore. During my last
Mhm.
semester, I got an opportunity to work with PwC in the risk and regulatory department. So there they were building a whole bunch of credit risk and market risk models for different banks. So that was my first experience because I'm an engineer, so I'm good with mathematics, statistics, programming, but I'm not good with financial concepts because I've never done that much of finance back in my university. So that was my first experience learning, okay, what is what, be it as simple as, okay, what is value at risk and expected shortfall, and then why do we forecast volatility, or let's say what are different interest rate models, because in
Mhm.
academia, you're always taught, okay, take this interest rate and discount all the cash flows with the constant interest rate. So there were a lot of new concepts which I never knew. So that's how I
Mhm.
got into the whole thing of finance first, and then because my role was more, so I was very good with data science and machine learning. So initially, I was heavily focused on building credit risk models because in
Mhm.
that you need good amount of statistical modeling. So initially, I was focused into that, and that's where my manager came in one day, and he asked, "Are you interested in market risk?" So I was like, "What's that?" So then he explained me. He gave me a flavor of what is market risk, and then I was like, "Yes, this is new to me, and I would love to do that." So that's why I got into market risk, and then but over the period at PwC, I realized there are a lot of terms that I didn't know. I mean,
Mhm.
there were a lot of so many terms. Like my manager used to speak about this binomial method, trinomial method used for pricing American options. So I was like,
Mhm.
what is an American option? What is the main difference between European and American?
American.
Mhm.
Someone, or let's say, what is a call and put option? I didn't know that. So I didn't have any, because back in engineering, we are never taught all these things. So that's where,
Yeah.
so after, over the period of 3 years, I realized there is so much into this field that I really have to get my master's. And my manager suggested taking a master's would be a better choice because it's been
Mhm.
almost 3 years, right? So I was like, should I switch the firm? Back in my mind, I had this thing, should I switch the firm or should I go for my master's? Masters appealed me, then came to United States, pursued my master's in financial math at NC State, and then learned a lot of good stuff: Monte Carlo, stochastic calculus, advanced statistics, derivatives in detail. So that was fixed income modeling. So learned a lot of stuff at NC State. Upon graduation, I had couple of offers. So I realized, okay, So my offers, in few of the firms they were using vendor models, and the place that I chose, that was Regions, they were building model in-house. So that really appealed me, because building in-house model was something that I always wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so went there, worked for almost close to 18-19 months, and then right now I'm at Schwab working in the risk modeling department.
And like you spoke about PwC, why didn't you go for a CFA or an FRM? And why did you choose to do the masters?
Dude, because I didn't have time at PwC. I was
Okay.
working for 12 to 13, 14 hours, 12 hours daily. And that's where I initially thought, let me register for FRM. But yeah,
Mm.
also I was looking at all these different institutes in India. They were like, you
Mm.
have to commit 3 to 4 hours every day. And I'm like, I mean, dude, I mean, how? I mean, I don't have 4 hours. Working in consulting is so stressful, and you are always on so many different projects, not on a single project. So I was like, I cannot afford. It's not. It was more about the time that I could not afford. So that's why.
I mean,
Okay.
this portion of 45 seconds has already been covered in the previous the second last video that we uploaded. I mean, that was my video, and I said the same absolute same thing about working greater hours and not getting any time at all in the Big Four.
Yeah.
So
But both
that's
of you
I
spoke
mean.
good about your managers.
Of
Like
course,
my managers? Oh, his
Yeah, I mean,
managers?
my manager.
both of you mentioned that the managers were good. Your managers were good.
Yeah, manager was
Yeah,
good.
yeah. Like, I mean, see, the thing is, if you're not picking up things as fast as them, they also want you to get upgraded, right? I mean,
Yeah.
they used to speak about all this complex models and complex stuff on Monte Carlo. I was like, what's going around? I mean, I even if I used to read, it's not something that you can understand very quickly. I feel, even coming from
Hmm.
an engineering background. So that's why I realized
Absolutely.
pursuing a master's is better.
No, I agree. I mean, having done these concepts in class now, I feel that it is absolutely relevant and important to learn these because I mean, it's tough. Of course, you can learn it on the job, but it's absolutely essential to get the academic thing first and then apply in the practical environment. That's
Right.
absolutely great. I mean, quantitative development, right? Quant dev is we feel that it's a fancy word. Would you break it down for the audience and what do you interpret of it and how do you apply it?
Okay, so quantitative development is not quant developer. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
my work was more into building different models. You can say quant analyst, quant researcher kind of work, in which I
Okay.
was building different kind of models. So back in, I guess, 2023, if you remember, there was Silicon Valley Bank which got failed, right?
Yeah.
And that's where liquidity was a concern for most of the banks. Everyone was concerned. Even regulators wanted, what's the take on liquidity from all the banks, and how the liquidity is for you, for your bank. So that's
Hmm.
where, like, at least in my department, we never had any liquidity models, statistical liquidity, I mean statistical models which can predict liquidity. So that's
Hmm.
where, like, my role was to building different statistical models. But if you want me to break it, I can break into, someone. What I was doing was I was basically building all these different statistical models using linear regression, regression, lasso, elastic net, weighted least square regression, stuff like that.
Hmm.
Then a few models which I built was in-house, not for regulatory purpose. So it was more on the clustering side. Then of course, using machine learning algorithms.
Machine learning.
Then
Hmm.
few models that I built were on the CCAR and DFAS. CCAR and DFAS are basically stress testing for the banks.
Yeah.
So all those models were financial time series models. So applied a lot of time series concepts in that. So it was all model building. Yeah.
So, uh, like I have seen a lot of roles very similar to this, Contrast, and I think it's a statistics role or a data analytics role. How could you enter a quant developer or a risk analytics role with a financial engineering degree?
Okay. So quant developer is very different from quant researcher, quant
I mean,
analyst,
quant
risk analyst.
researcher. Yeah.
Yeah. So okay, so basically, can you repeat? You want quant researcher or quant developer?
I mean, your role, which was quant research.
Okay, my role. Okay. So basically, my role basically, which was into model development, basically building quantitative models. So I would say, see, during the interviews, they tested me on all the stuff. They wanted someone who was good with time series models, financial time series. So if you see all this
Mm,
autoregressive, moving average, ARIMA model, Arimax, Archgach, that was one
mm,
of the skill set that they wanted. Second skill set that they wanted was someone who is good with basically doing analytics with good chunk of data. So using NumPy, Pandas to clean the data, do
mm,
feature selection, stuff like that. Third skill set was understanding the knowledge of derivatives and fixed income. So that was important. Monte Carlo didn't ask me stochastic calculus, didn't ask me even one question on stochastic. Monte Carlo also didn't ask me just on the very top of surface level. They asked me, why do we use Monte Carlo? That was the
mm.
question. So,
Hmm.
so I would say at least for my role, that was what I needed in the interviews.
Hmm. How many rounds did you have of the interviews?
So regions, like they were. So I interviewed for two roles, and in both the roles there were close to four rounds. So it was total of 8 rounds, and I got selected for both the teams. So, but
That's lovely.
I ended up taking the model development team because they were building in-house models.
Nice.
Yeah, right.
I mean, for the students doing projects or studying masters, especially in a quantitative field, what do you feel is a relevant thing to push themselves into if they want a quantitative role in this market?
See, the first, two things which I really want to say. Two things which students really struggle with. First is not getting any job, let's say not getting any interview calls, right? This is the very first thing that most of the students struggle with. I've seen students filing 400 applications and not getting any offer.
Mm,
Second issue is even though they get into it, they get the interview calls, they are not able to convert it, right? These are the biggest two issues. So
yeah.
what if someone wants to end up into a quant role? What I really want them to focus on is first subject matter knowledge. uh, we are taught, I know we are taught a lot of different subjects in the masters. It's very tough. It's very tough to have everything in the mind when you're going for the interviews. But at least what you can do is learn stuff which can be asked. Let's say Black-Scholes model. You can be asked what are the assumptions of Black-Scholes, what is the PDE. PDE is nothing but partial differential equation of a Black-Scholes model. how
Mm,
how would you what are the limitations of Black-Scholes model, and what are how did they overcome, how researchers overcome all those weaknesses. So I
mm,
would say, see, every subject has something which is important, right? So focus on those subjects, focus on those topics which you feel can be asked, and this comes by judgment. See, some
yeah.
because I was I mean, it depends a lot on what have you put on your resume. So in the initial, I had time series I did a lot of time series modeling back at PwC also. So
Mm,
I had good amount of experiences mentioned there. So when I was interviewed, they used me ask a lot of stuff on time series. What is stationarity? What are different statistical tests? What are different time series model? How do you train and test the models? What are different metrics that you use, right? What is ACF and PACF plot? What is a VAR model, which is vector autoregressive model, stuff like that. So I mean, make sure like whatever you have written in your resume you should know completely, even a single, don't miss even a single word. That is my first
mm,
recommendation. Second recommendation is, of course, building your subject matter knowledge. Very important, very very important, because that's the only way you can crack the interview. Third thing,
mm.
and which is I feel very important thing for you, is building the right resume, because that's the first step. That's
First
the
step.
first step. If you don't have a good resume, you will never get an interview call. So what do I mean by a good resume? I'll give you one example. I was reviewing a student's resume. So he was a electronics engineer back in India, and then came directly to US. Okay, so if you see, if I tell about his resume, 50% of his resume was filled with electronics based projects. I mean, just imagine, right? If someone who is coming with good amount of
Mm,
working experience, good amount of projects, everything related to quant, why will a hiring manager select him over the other candidates, right? So
Right.
the first and foremost thing is have everything related to quant in your resume, and you can work on different projects. Example can be as simple as, let's say, comparing Black-Scholes model with binomial tree model, or not comparing, basically building a Black-Scholes model, binomial tree model, and calculating Greeks delta, gamma, rho, theta, vega. That can be one model. Second project can be building a value at risk model and an expected shortfall model, which is on the market risk management side. Third
It's
project can be building
Mm.
PD, LGD, EAD model, which is again on the credit risk side. You can definitely get the data from Kaggle. Kaggle is good for getting data. Fourth project that you can
Mm.
build, maybe working on different volatility based models. So we have a few time series volatility models like Arch and Garch. Then we have
Mm.
stochastic volatility models like Heston. Then we have local volatility models, Saber, SABR, Saber. So, and then again, you can also work on stochastic interest rate models. So these are kind of projects that you should have in your resume. If someone is focusing on portfolio side, let's say, you should work on a lot on building, let's say, as simple as having a project on portfolio risk analytics. What do I mean by that? If you see any mutual fund for that matter, right? So they'll have all these different ratios that they'll calculate. What is the Sortino ratio? Then we have maximum
Mm.
drawdown, Jensen's alpha, beta, R square, standard deviation, stuff like this. So
Mm.
focus. First thing is, see, everyone has a strong suit in some or the other subject, right? So I was always good with this statistical modeling side of it. So that's why my resume started with that. So you should figure out what is your strong suit and start your projects with that. So if you're good with, let's say, if you're good with explaining the financial theories, so you should start with
Mm.
basically having all those projects. Let's say interest rate modeling, you can build bunch of interest rate models, and that's where you get a pitch of, okay, so why interest rates are important in the first place, and then what did you do in the project. So make sure you
Mm.
have good amount of projects in the resume, and definitely good amount of keywords. I have seen resumes which have keyword related to software, related to marketing, digital marketing, soft skills. I mean,
Mm.
where are the quant skill set, right? You should mention quant related keywords in your resume. So that would be my advice. Yeah.
My one question, one follow-up question on that. Suppose I had a background in consulting and it was nowhere remotely related to quantitative finance, right? So suppose I was in risk advisory. I was working in financial control and risk and control and mitigation, all those things. So how do I include that in my resume for a quant role? I mean, do I include it? And if I include it, then it'll use a lot of space, but it won't be relevant to the job that I'm applying to, right?
Reduce it. Reduce
Sorry,
it. I mean,
reduce
have
it. Okay.
one or maximum, let's say, have everything placed in 3 lines or maximum 4 lines. How many years of working experience do you have?
So I have 2.5 years. So 1 year, 2 months I worked in KPMG, and then post that I worked for a year and 4 months in PwC as a senior analyst.
Yeah, I would say reduce that, maybe. Okay, this is okay. You can also alter your work experience, right? I mean, no,
Makes
see,
sense.
I'll be very honest with you. We all are international students. We all have came with good amount of education loans, right? 60,000,
Yeah.
80,000, $100,000. If you want, you can alter your resume. You can change your work experience. Have those things in your resume which you think will be relevant for your job opportunity. This no one tells it, everyone does it. So
You're
so
right.
it's not like, oh, Mehul is telling this, he's not professional. But if you want to filter people like that, you'll filter almost all the people in United States. I have seen
Right.
students working in different field, completely changing into different field. But what they were good at is making sure they had good amount of skill set in that specific. So if I have put on something on, let's say, derivatives, I should be like, if they ask me anything on derivative, I should be too good on derivatives. Even if as
Hmm.
simple as if they ask, okay, Mehul, can you tell what's the difference between forwards and futures?
Hmm.
People might give one or two line sentence, okay, forwards are customized agreement that are traded over the counter, futures are standard agreement traded over the exchange, right? You should
Hmm.
give much more than that, like as simple as in forwards, you have higher counterparty risk. In futures, there you have less counterparty
Yes,
risk, because forwards are customized agreement. That's why
customize.
they are illiquid. If you see futures, they are highly, they are standardized agreements. That's why they are really liquid instruments. Then you can say future instruments, all those instruments traded in the future, they are mark to market every day, whereas if you're in a forward contract, it's only at the maturity. Make sure you give so much detail that, I hope you understand, right, what I'm trying to say.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely, absolutely. That's absolutely. I agree with it completely.
Yeah,
Yeah,
And
that's how it works. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah.
so, Mehul, I had a question. So, as you talked about all the projects, how did you organize your time? For example, we don't have, like, I have all the things that you mentioned in my coursework, in my elective,
Mm.
but I'm not sure if I was able to do as many projects as you could. So, how did
Projects.
you organize yourself? Like, what time did you give to job applications? What time did you study? And how much time did you give to the projects?
So NC State does a good stuff. Like every course has some or the other project in it. It can be a mini project. It can be a good amount of work in the project. So that's where I felt, it was already integrated in the subjects that I was doing, and I also had a lot of passion understanding this whole field of quant finance. So
Yeah.
it. So if no one is working on any project, it's fine. I'll just watch a lot of YouTube videos, because you need to have a starting point. You cannot just go, and back then we didn't have chat gpt, right? Now though you can
Yeah.
have everything from chat gpt. Back then it was
Mhm.
all different articles. So this was really good for me, because so let's say if I started building interest rate models, stochastic interest rate models like Vesey check, CIR, Helvite model, I used to read a lot of articles on Investopedia, one of the best resources I feel, and then used to
Yeah.
watch a lot of different videos. So all the top 5 6 videos that used to come, I used to watch them all. So this really helped me understand how to build a model, how models have been built. I'm telling you,
Mm.
YouTube is so underrated. You have so much stuff there. It's just that you need to find it,
So
you just need to find it. So yeah.
I agree. I mean, I feel that the field of quant finance itself is very dynamic and constantly changing. So how do you keep up to date with the latest trends? How do you upskill yourself or make yourself relevant to the market? And how do you incorporate that in your work at Charles Schwab?
See, okay. um, so I'll say, from students' perspective, how can they be up to date, right?
Yep.
See,
Mm.
focus on academia first. I'll be very honest with you. Industry folks, they really want you to have good background. Like you should have strong foundations of all these different subjects, and that is more than
Mm.
enough, because in industry, not one thing is followed. You'll be working on bunch of different models, different things. So there was this model that I was building at Reasons, which included a mixture of regression modeling and volatility modeling. So I was having Garch model, some extension of Garch model, and basically some time series model, and then basically the output from Garch model I was including in the regression analysis. There was something I
Mm.
was doing like that. So my thing is, industry there'll be a lot of stuff happening, and for anyone to keep up to date with all the stuff, to be honest, it's very difficult for any student. Why? Because already you have so many assignments, so many projects you have to deliver, right? You have different
Yeah.
kind of tests, and everything is new for all of you, right? So I'll feel, if to be very honest, I'll say, like, focus on academia. Whatever your professor is teaching, focus on that. Make sure, like, read books. I'm telling you, if I have come to this place where I am, it's all because of books. I have read multiple books multiple times. So there's this book called Derivatives by John C. Hull. I would
Mm.
suggest everyone to read it. Everyone. It's such a treasure. It's such a treasure. So I'll say, like, focus on all the core concepts, options and derivatives and fixed income from the finance side, then Monte
Mm.
Carlo methods and stochastic calculus on the mathematics sides. Then you can use data science, Python, data science, and machine learning. This will be your programming toolkit. With machine learning, you should definitely learn time series modeling. Very important if you are aiming a career in banking industry. Banks use a lot of time series models. So apart from that, so I've covered fixed income derivatives, Monte Carlo, stochastic, statistics. make sure you understand statistics. Statistics is very important. I'll give you one simple example. So we assume like the stock follows normal distribution, right? It's a very common assumptions in most of the models. If you see during the pandemic, what happened? The stocks were not following a normal distribution, right? So what to do as a statistician or as a quant researcher, quant analyst, risk analyst? You should understand what should you do. So as simple as taking some other distribution, let's say student tree distribution. So if you see student tree distribution has fatter tails.
Yeah,
So when you
Faraday's.
have fatter tails, it can actually it can capture the losses if there are any losses. So but if
Hmm.
you see normal distribution has thinner tails. So
Hmm.
that is the change in assumption that happens, and with that change in assumption you'll of course change the model, right?
Hmm.
So I will say, even though most of the places we consider normal distribution, then we take log returns and stuff like that, but I will say have a good understanding on statistics also.
You put everything out so beautifully that I think if I had
Absolutely.
talked to you before I came to US, I would have had a contrast job by now. I
Yeah, man.
think
I
all
mean,
the research that I did in the last few months, you just summarized it right now. That's so
Absolutely. I
amazing.
think, and
yeah,
we feel that because this content is so in depth, people are not talking that much about it. And we feel that what we're doing and what you're trying to achieve as well with your videos and LinkedIn as well is very relevant to people who
yeah.
are aspiring to get a role in this field. And we hope
Hmm.
this is helpful for them. Rahul, do you have any other questions for Mehul?
I yeah, I just have one question. So, in very simple terms, what is a quant or who is a quant? Because that is something we've come across earlier.
Okay. So okay, I'll tell you two things.
Hmm.
First of all, there are a lot of synonyms that are used: quant finance, financial engineering, mathematical finance, computational finance, stuff like this, right? All
Hmm.
are the same. Everything is the same. It's only one or two electives that will be different. So if you see computational finance, they'll have
Hmm.
some two electives that will be focusing a lot on, let's say, linear programming or something like that.
Hmm.
Something like that. If you see mathematical side, mathematical finance, they'll be focusing on some other side of it. So it's just that one or two electives are different. Rest, if you ask me, it's all the same.
Hmm.
Universities use different synonyms for it. So my university has options and derivatives. I was talking to this other friend of mine from other university, his derivatives and pricing, and there was this
Hmm.
other university which has advanced derivatives. All the
Hmm.
three are using John C. Hull as their books. So first of all these are same. Don't get confused. Second thing is
Hmm.
coming to quant. So if you see, quant is someone who uses five things: statistics, mathematics, programming, finance, economics. The mixture of these five things is what makes a quant. So that is what I would say a good
Lovely.
definition of quant is.
And
Lovely.
something about CQF. Like we talked about it yesterday. I knew, but something for the people.
Yeah, see, okay. CQF, I guess, was started by Paul Wilmoth. Paul Wilmoth
Hmm.
is one of the best authors till date, because I've read his book. The clarity that he gives in this book, and his book is written long back when we didn't
Hmm.
heard about this term called quant finance. So first is because it's headed by Paul Wilmoth, and he also teaches. I believe he teaches also. So
Hmm.
it's a fantastic program. There's no doubt on that. Okay. Second thing is because and this is specifically for students. Okay, because not so in USA, it's I guess it's $20,000 or $22,000. It's very tough for anyone who's already paying, let's say, $60,000 of US education and then
Yeah.
getting $20,000 of CQF. And if you see
Hmm.
the curriculum, it's almost the same what you are learning in your masters. CKF will also teach you the same. So if you're focusing on your masters, I feel you don't need to go for CQF. But see, again, depending on how industry is taking it, you might need to take it also. So if someone is taking, if most of your colleagues are taking CQF, you'll end up taking it because of the competition. But to be
Yeah.
honest, it's a great program. Yeah.
Okay. And the last question, Regents Bank versus Charles Schwab. Which one did you like more?
See, I'll say both are equally good, and it's
Hmm.
not like, oh, how can they be equally good? But I come from PwC, so I guess the work hours were crazy, 13, 14 hours. I don't like that much now because now I don't like that much of 14 hours of work and stuff. So I'll say both in terms of, I guess, both in terms of work. I'm like really liking the work that they do. So
Hmm.
I cannot say okay, one over the other or the second over the one. Yeah.
I think Mehul is
Okay.
still in touch with the regions because he's not shying away from the fact that he wants
Future
to visit
Yeah,
Charles
president.
so
Schwab.
definitely.
Yeah.
I still talk to my colleagues at Regions. I had a podcast with one of the model validators. He's like great validator, and when I was developing the model, we used to talk a lot. So I'm still in touch with most of my colleagues at Regions. So that's why I'm saying, for me, I never had any bad experience. So that's why I'm saying both are equally good for me.
Great.
Okay.
Great. So
Shikhar, do
any
you have any other
ending?
question?
No, I just wanted to say if you have any ending statement for the for the audience, and if you feel that there is a misconception in this field of finance that you should address for people who are aspiring in this role.
So I would say, see, what books can teach you, no one can teach you. Study books, and I'm saying this because I read a lot of different books, and the understanding that book will give you, none of the professor, even best of the best, we cannot give you. But the thing is, we all have time crunch, and that's why for most of us, it's better to listen to what professor says and teaches. But if you have time, go and read books. Second is, make sure your resume is focused on quant related projects and have keywords related to quant. So these will be my two best advice for all the students.
Great, great. I think we can conclude it there, Rahul. Thank you so much, Mehul, for
Yeah,
your
thank you so
time
much, Mehul.
and for an amazing,
Thank
amazing session. We really enjoyed it, and I hope this is absolutely useful for the audience as well.
I think it was amazing. My
Amazing.
favorite podcast.
Yes,
Okay.
absolutely.
This episode.
Hands down, hands down.
Thanks.
For sure,
Yeah.
man. For sure.
Thanks, Rick.
Yeah, I mean, we are looking forward to more videos with you whenever you get the
At least
time.
100.
At least.
Yeah.
All right.
Sure.
So thank you,
No,
thank you,
definitely.
thank you, Mehul.
Yeah, I really enjoyed the podcast with you guys, and do definitely what you are doing. Heads up to you. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much,
Thank you,
Mehul.
thank you, thank you, Mehul.